everybody. You know, I've been in Toronto for a while now. I'm still Albertan at heart, and I think I'm Albertan enough to understand what's going on out there. I still visit Alberta all the time. My folks are there. Let me translate for my fellow Easterners what I think's happening. Remember how Eastern Canadians, Central Canadians felt when Donald Trump put tariffs on the prestige industries in Quebec and Ontario in a manner that seemed unfair and irrational and just out of the blue? And rational or not, it hurt the Ontario economy and cost jobs. And how do people in Ontario and Quebec feel knowing that Trump is still vowing to move Canada's car and steel industries to the U.S.? He said that when Mark Carney was right there.
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Like, you know, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, you know, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR's been reopened now. ANWR's probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy, we have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. You know, it's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have, you know, most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
I'd like Ontarians and Quebecers to remember how they felt that their own political autonomy and sovereignty was being challenged and insulted by Trump's proposal to become a 51st state. That it felt like an indecent proposal, if you remember that old movie. And even if it was just an empty taunt, it showed disrespect, like if a stranger made a marriage proposal to someone who was already married. Well, Alberta has been doing all of that exact same thing. Ontario's been doing that, Ottawa's been doing that to Alberta for generations. And it's been rewarded election after election by voters in Ontario and Quebec. If you rob Peter to pay Paul, you can count on the support of Paul. Now, Donald Trump has an excuse. His job is America first. Nothing else matters to him. What's Mark Carney's excuse? What's Justin Trudeau's excuse before him? What's Canada's excuse, frankly? Trump imposed tariffs on Canada, typically 10% or 25%. Ottawa blocked Alberta and Saskatchewan pipelines altogether, banned tankers altogether, requires a gender analysis on new industrial projects, if you can believe it. They're talking about a production cap on the oil sands. They've threatened to transition the industry. That means shut it down. That's like a 100% tariff. It's an outright veto. Stopping a pipeline is worse than a tariff. Alberta and Saskatchewan voted for a grand total of 3 Liberal MPs out of all those districts in the last election. But Alberta and Saskatchewan, they are not the deciders in Canada, are they? They're just the people who keep paying the bills for the rest of the country, equalization and all that. You're about to see something very interesting, though. In the last Quebec referendum, the entire Canadian establishment sent a message to Quebec. We love you. Please come back. Don't leave. We'll work it out within Canada. Quebec received countless political, economic, and constitutional favors, plus a lot of good old-fashioned cash. You might even say that Quebec separatism has been a bit of a sham. For decades, it's just a good cop, bad cop routine of fleecing Alberta. It's not really serious. I don't think they actually want to go. It's a permanent revolution. It's sort of theatrical. I mean, what's more revealing than the fact that Bloc Québécois MPs collect their parliamentary pensions? That's how long they've been around. But watch for the opposite response to Alberta separatism. There is a genuine hatred against Alberta in parts of Ontario and Quebec towards Alberta and what I call Alberta-ness, being Alberta-ish. The only Albertans respected by the CBC or Mark Carney are the underminers, like Naheed Nenshi and Rachel Notley, people who promised to destroy the Alberta oil and gas industry and the Alberta freedom spirit from the inside. Albertans who are Alberta-ish, they're shunned, they're demonized, they're mocked, they're attacked. Look at how the CBC has tried to destroy Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta. She was the only female Premier in the entire country for years, actually, Normally, that would make her a CBC favorite on DEI grounds alone, but she's the wrong kind of woman. She's too Albertan, so they hate her and they lie about her daily. But buckle up now. Every national media company, every national corporation, every bank, every NGO, every community activist will now be deployed to denigrate and smear Albertans who are just tired of Ottawa's war on the West. Again, if you're from Toronto or Montreal and need help imagining things, picture Trump-style taxes, tariffs, and other economic warfare. But for 40 years, going back before the National Energy Program in the 1980s even, all from your own country, not a foreign leader. Albertans aren't even angry anymore, I don't think. I think they're just sort of done. A friendly tip to my friends in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, if you're a politician or a pundit using the same language you used with the trucker convoy, you're racist. You're a fringe minority with unacceptable views. You're a crackpot. You're MAGA. You're January 6th. If you're saying things like that, think about it. You're not actually trying to persuade anyone, are you? You're demonstrating that you hate Alberta, or at least the Albertaness of it. It's an interesting Venn diagram, I think. The people who called for a Team Canada approach and who promised to end internal trade barriers as a response to Trump, they're the same ones denigrating Albertans who are asking for an end to Ottawa's sanctions. And what is a pipeline ban other than a non-tariff barrier? The Canadian establishment demonized Donald Trump as a bully, an economic illiterate, and an unreliable friend and ally. But they, the Ontario, Quebec establishment, the Ottawa establishment, they are all of those things and worse towards Albertans. At least Trump kept telling Canada he cherished us as he shook us down. Carney, Trudeau, Guilbeault, they genuinely hate Alberta, and it shows.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.